Sunbeam. It's been some time since I've heard that brand. This is a box that I don't believe contains two warm white, suitable for enclosed fixtures, DEL energy saving bulbs. The bulbs that I don't believe are in the box allegedly would have lasted 13.7 years, and there's some little asterisk mark there to indicate that that's some type of a lie. And the bulbs allegedly would have saved $166, and there's another little asterisk thing there to indicate that that is some type of lie. Down below, if we look at the asterisk explanations, the energy saving is over the life of two LED bulbs compared to two 1000 hour 60 watt incandescent bulbs at 11 cents per kilowatt hour. There's a bunch of issues with that statement because the statement is being doubled to make it sound better than it really is. It should be one bulb, one LED bulb compared to one incandescent bulb. The other issue is comparing it to 11 cents per kilowatt hour doesn't tell you the whole story because the light bill is itemized, so you have the generation cost, which is the 11 cents per hour, and then you have the transmission cost, and then there's a bunch of taxes and so forth that go onto it. So you're not going to save that amount of money because the light bill costs more than the 11 cents, so that's bogus. And we've talked about this before. I don't agree with comparing these to incandescent bulbs. These LED bulbs should be compared to the previous lighting technology, which would be CFLs. When it comes to a CFL, a 60 watt equivalent CFL typically consumes around 13 watts. These supposedly pull 9.5 watts, so 9.5 versus 13, that's negligible difference. The other asterisk says based on average use of 3 hours per day, which is also bogus because that's nowhere near what the typical use case would be. In this part of the world, during winter time, the lights are on by 4:30 and they're on until you go to sleep, so that's way more than 3 hours. Maybe 3 hours in sometime in June or whenever the longest day of the year is, but that's no. 60 watt replacement, 9.5 watts actual. Now that's also a stupid comparison because wattage is not a measurement of light. Wattage is a measurement of power, but we'll let that slide because that's on like every light bulb package I've ever seen. 800 lumens, which is pretty reasonable for a 60 watt equivalent. They're allegedly dimmable, 1500 hour lifespan, E26 base, and supposedly these are suitable to be used in enclosed fixtures, which is kind of unusual. Seldom is that rated for that. So in theory these should run cooler, but I doubt that they do. Now interestingly, here on the back we have what I would consider to be a very good comparison of the LED, CFL, and incandescent. Now granted, I don't know when this was made. Do we have a... No, I don't see any kind of date on here at all. But this is telling us 9.5 watts for these LED bulbs, 13 watts which it's emitting for the CFL, and then 60 watt for the incandescent, which was phased out according to this in 2014. I thought it was older than that. Anyways, so this is telling you all accurate information. Now what is this microscopic text says. Save 84% in energy costs when comparing a 9.5 LED bulb with a 60 watt incandescent bulb. Save 78% in energy costs when comparing a 13 watt CFL with a 60 watt incandescent. So, I mean, let's face it, 78 versus 84% savings, that's hardly anything. CFL bulb has an average life of 10,000 hours versus the incandescent with 1,000. Even the lifespan's not that much different. These claim to last 15,000 hours, but the CFL is 10,000 hours. That's not a big difference, especially considering that these seldom last anywhere near as long as they're supposed to. This Sunbeam bulb delivers a beautiful, warm light for the living spaces in your home with flickering, headache-inducing diodes. Instant full brightness, full beam distribution. Cool to the touch, a ceiling fan with all sorts of messed up blades. Well, fortunately in this case, we don't have to worry about any of that junk that's on the package. Oh, I just saw a date. 2017, Sunbeam Products, doing business as Jardin Consumer Solutions. I haven't heard of Jardin in a while either. I wonder if it's still around. I believe that Jardin had something to do with the buyout of the Lakewood patents when Lakewood first closed down. Not Lakewood. Jardin and Camair, I think, both had something to do with it. Okay, so that's that for the LED package. Now let's get to what's inside, which is much more interesting to me. Now here, most likely what transpired is these LED bulbs replaced these CFL bulbs, because although not everybody is, most people had switched to using CFLs by the time that DEL became popular, which really wasn't all that long ago. And so for the person that spent all the money on these, he or she will probably never reap any savings, because he or she is encountering a 6% reduction in energy. What a waste. Anyway, so these are the Greenlite, which is not a brand I'm familiar with. The Greenlite, which is trademarked, 14 watt LX, or heck that is, 2700 Kelvin, 800 lumens, the CFL. Made in China, self-ballast lamp. Not for use with dimmers, not for use where directly exposed to water, not for use in totally enclosed luminaries. And I would argue that it also should say not for use with the ballast installed up. So these are, I don't know what the OEM of these things would be. Looks like this one is missing some parts. Is it the same? Oh no, it's not missing parts, it's just totally different. This one is not branded. Oh, it's TCP. This is a TCP 15A-14 CFL. Come on. There we go. Also 2700K, also 14 watts. So these are both 60 watt equivalents. Now this one says when used with water, use this and up. So this one I guess could be outdoor rated and not for use with dimmers. It doesn't say not for use with totally enclosed fixtures, but I highly doubt that it really should be. I also doubt that it should be installed this way, but that's a whole different story. So these are pretty similar looking bulbs. This one looks like it's got some blackening to the top of it. I wonder if this is spoiled. Let's start with the Greenlite. We are testing at 118.5 the volts. 1, 2, 5. It's a slow starting CFL. It's got that pinkish color to it, especially at the top where it hasn't illuminated yet. It's currently consuming 11.6 the volts. This is probably an older model. I remember this was an issue with a lot of the CFLs that came out in the early 2000s, and this is why a lot of people didn't like them, because of this warm-up time. It's up to 12.5 the watts. It'll be up to full brightness within a minute or two. It's really not a big deal to me. So far it seems like the quality of light is very good. Looks like the color rendering is everything that it should be. Yeah, that's pretty good. I don't detect any kind of flickering or harshness to it, even looking directly at it. Don't see any flicker. No flicker that I can detect. The electrical information is 14 the watts on the nose, 0.19 the amps, and 0.59 the power factor, which is pretty pathetic. So it must be a cheaper ballast. The brightness looks about right to me for a 60-watt bulb. I would say this is overall a completely satisfactory CFL. The ballast is still cool, but the top is already getting pretty warm. Alright, now we'll try the TCP. Is the TCP heavier? A little bit, not too much. Maybe it has a better ballast within it. 148. This is also an older one, and it's going to be a very slow starter. Well, maybe not very slow, but a slow start. You can see the top of the tube is still not illuminated at all. I would have expected one of these to be significantly newer than the other, assuming these were probably owned by the same person and used in a pair of fixtures. This is currently drawing 12.7 the watts. This one looks a little bit more warm in color than the other one did. Perhaps that will change as it increases in brightness. Or maybe not. I remember my grandmother used to say that some of the earlier CFLs, and my grandfather always was trying to put CFLs in the house, and she didn't like them for a lot of reasons. One of the reasons was she felt that they had like a weird yellowish color to them. And this one actually has that. This one it's not super noticeable, but it is to me noticeable that it's not regular 2700K. This is a little bit more yellow. Doesn't bother me. I actually kind of find it more pleasant. I'm not sure if the lighting on the camera will show it or not, because the camera has auto white balance, so it doesn't always show the difference in the different light bulbs. Color rendering is good. quality of light seems to be pretty much incandescent equivalent. I don't see any flicker. It's not harsh to look at. The electrical information is 14.8 the watts, 0.21 the amps, and 0.57 the power factor. So it's equally as abysmal in terms of power factor as the other one was. As far as the brightness goes, that looks to be about a 60 watt equivalent to me. So there we go, two. Oh, that's really hot. That's getting much hotter than the other one was. Ballast is still cool though. So there's two CFLs, more of the decorative style. That's supposed to look like a regular incandescent bulb. I paid, how much did I pay for these? $3. $1.50 a bulb. I think that was money well spent for two perfectly good usable CFLs.